Viewers, it's the big one. The meeting between Prime Minister Modi and President Trump is taking place in the White House based on a priority invite. That meeting we will cover live here on CNN News 18. We're going to be live all through the night tonight, viewers. And we will be live when that meeting takes place at around 2:30 in the morning, Indian Standard Time. It is very, very significant that President Trump thinks of Prime Minister Modi as a key figure in the Make America Great Again or MAGA scheme of things. How can we say this? How have we come to this conclusion? How can we make such a far-reaching statement, you will ask me? Well, I'll tell you to look at the science. Firstly, Trump hasn't even been in office for 30 days. Typically, viewers, in the first few weeks of a new administration, the attention is focused clearly on trying to ensure that the administration gets off to a flying start. There should be no distractions. Second, viewers, his self-avowed goal is to end the Ukraine-Russia war and the Israel-Palestine conflict. Despite these two onerous foreign policy tasks, Trump found the time to meet with Prime Minister Modi. Viewers, this is not an insignificant thing. Third, no previous Indian Prime Minister has been handed an invite this early in a new president's tenure. So clearly we are in uncharted diplomatic waters. The meeting will be watched anxiously in many quarters. Beijing, Islamabad, Dhaka, and also by anti-India deep state operatives who are based in the United States and in other geographies, viewers, who will now be under the cosh. As it is, Trump has vowed to drain the swamp in DC. That's a colloquial expression, viewers. There are, of course, those that will say that we are getting ahead of ourselves because there are issues that need also be addressed between these two countries. But what these experts won't tell you is that the points of convergence far outnumber the irritants by a massive, massive margin. Viewers, there are trade relations that are going to be covered tonight. America First policy will influence dynamics, no doubt. We might have pressures on some of our exports, but viewers, let me tell you, there is enough room for agreement and finding a middle ground. Otherwise, there would be no meeting. Defense cooperation, which is a cornerstone of US-India relations. You will see a lot of new pacts and, very importantly, Marco Rubio and Mike Waltz, who is the Defense State Department head, Rubio, and Mike Waltz being the NSA, are pro-India, and they will be meeting the Prime Minister in the next few hours. In fact, we're being told that Mike Waltz will be walking in any moment now to meet the Prime Minister. He's the NSA. Immigration policies, push for restrictive norms on H-1B program could pose a challenge for Indian techies, but we're also told that common ground perhaps will be reached there also. Then there is, of course, viewers, this whole business of countering China, and you know that the only president in America that unilaterally stood with India when there was tension at our borders with China was the Trump administration. You'll remember that in 2019, 2020, when we had the real problems with China. Trump was there for us. He said things that no American president has ever said on Indian soil. There's also enhanced cooperation in Indo-Pacific via the Quad, which will be a massive, massive, massive focus. Again, there'll be pressure, of course, to pressurize Pakistan to curtail terror groups. But there's also other significant news breaking, which we will come to in just a few moments. It's very well known that Modi and Trump have a great equation, and it is expected that the dosti of friendship will break new diplomatic ground between the two great democracies. Trump has always let it be known that he admires Prime Minister Modi for putting his country first. And he says that Modi does it consistently, which is also what the US president is attempting to do. So the two leaders are quite aware of each other's red lines. They know that both countries will be wanting to put their best foot forward, that they want to protect their own interests, and they will ring-fence some of those issues. In October 2024, Trump said Modi is the nicest human being and a total killer. He talked about Modi's drive to get the best deal. Mr. Trump has written a book called The Art of the Deal. So there are these two individuals who know transactionalism like the back of their hands. September 2022, Trump said Modi and I share a great relationship, and that I also have a great relationship with India and Indians. February 2020, when he was president and he came to India, viewers, in that famous visit, he said India is progressing under Modi's leadership. September 2019, a year before that, he said truly exceptional job done by Modi for India. October 2016, Modi has been energetic in reforming India, and there were several reasons why he adduced to these particular tweets to tell all of us why he thought that Modi was doing a great job. The degree of importance being given to Modi's visit to the US can also be judged by the variety of Team Trump members meeting the Indian Premier. So the who's who of the cabinet are holding one-on-one meetings with the Prime Minister. That's rather rare, let me tell you, viewers. The Director of Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, who's a practicing Hindu, was the first to call on the Prime Minister. This meeting is significant as Delhi is keen to root out anti-India elements, particularly Khalistani separatists who establish bases in North America, including Canada and, of course, America. And you know the whole controversy that is going on between India and America over Pannun. The previous administration, the Biden administration, had made this a huge test of trust. Trump is not that type of person. He doesn't tolerate, viewers, terrorism, separatism. Free speech, he says, be damned on these issues. Delhi is also attempting to get a handle on neutering the behind-the-scenes skullduggery of the deep state types that were thriving under the Biden administration and plotting against India. Team Trump members are to be believed. In this context, the meeting between Modi and NSA Mike Waltz and Secretary of State Marco Rubio will be very, very important and closely watched because, viewers, you know, regime change, according to insiders of the Trump administration, was facilitated by the deep state in Bangladesh. And India is very, very edgy about what is going on in Bangladesh. All of that is going to be rolled back. And if not rolled back, then at least the support that the deep state was lending to those people who have taken over Bangladesh will now end. And that can only play into India's advantage. Then there's Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, who are hugely influential in the mighty MAGA machine which has powered Trump's return. And they're also going to be meeting the Prime Minister. In fact, the meeting with Elon Musk is going to happen in just a little over an hour. We're being told, viewers, that'll happen about 10:15. You have to always give a margin. So all of these people are going to be meeting the Prime Minister. They're going to be holding important talks. And let's open this up for some in-depth analysis, because we're also getting news which is coming in from sources in the White House who have spoken to our reporters who are on the ground. Parikshat Luthra of CNBC TV 18 bringing us a big breaking news, telling us that the two sides have agreed for a roadmap for strong bilateral trade agreements. So it's quite clear that points of convergence have been found. Major impact via reciprocal tariffs is unlikely. So Trump might announce a bunch of tariffs right now at around 1 o'clock in the morning, but the impact on India won't be as pronounced, we're being told by White House insiders. Let's go across to Parikshat Luthra, who joins us from a very, very chilly Washington, D.C. He's posted right outside Blair House. And let me tell you, viewers, I'm going to just cut to those pictures of Blair House in just a few moments. Prime Minister Modi staying at the Blair House. He stayed there twice before, I think. And that is also quite a big honor that is being accorded to the Prime Minister. Not only has his visit been prioritized over a large number of other traditional US partners, but he's also been stationed at the Blair House. A rare honor, second only to presidents who are staying perhaps at a personal level in the White House itself. And this breaking news that we're waiting to tell you, viewers, is that The Indian government source to Network 18 India has told Parikshit Luthra that India does not expect Trump's reciprocal tariffs to significantly impact India, and that the two countries are going to be announcing a roadmap for a strong trade pact with sector-specific arrangements. India to give more access to US industrial goods, and India to seek more access for labor-intensive manufacturing products. And US tariffs on Canada and Mexico have opened a huge opportunity for India. Let's get a sense of what's really unraveling there, or let's hear from Parikshit Luthra. What are the points of convergence? Because you're getting a lot of information, Parikshit. You're keeping us ahead here, and you're keeping viewers very well informed. So congratulations. I know it's cold, so I'm not going to keep you out for too long, but give us the details.
Well, yes, a lot's been very dynamic over the last few hours. Just when the Prime Minister was landing, you had the White House press secretary saying that US is going to announce reciprocal tariffs even ahead of the Modi-Trump meeting. So very quickly, we had to be prepared for that. The Indian government expects, and this is what sources here are telling us, that this will not just be for India, it will be for a number of countries which have a trade deficit with the US. And those tariffs are not very easy to implement. Possibly they won't come into effect immediately. At the same time, what the Indian government sources are telling us, that the trade arrangement that both sides are going to commit to in that joint statement today and the joint presser is something which will have much bigger economic significance. It will have sector-specific arrangements as the low-hanging fruit, for example, on energy, on defense. On both these fronts, the White House today has indicated to reporters that there will be significant deals from the Indian side to procure more energy from the US, procure more defense equipment, and both of these will reduce the trade deficit. We are going to see a trade agreement between US and India by the fall of 2025, and this is being confirmed by the White House and also by Indian government sources. So we'll find a lot of emphasis on trade, on a fair trade partnership, a win-win arrangement in that joint statement. And what the Indian government is also indicating informally is that this is not going to be a one-way street for Donald Trump. We are here, of course, to address their concerns, but we will make sure that this is a win-win partnership. So that conversation with Donald Trump is going to be a difficult one. Definitely, he's going to seek more market access, urge India to reduce tariff immediately. But at the same time, we are hoping for a long-term, robust partnership where the US industry gets more access to the Indian market, and India's MSMEs and labor-intensive manufacturing sectors like textiles, footwear, furniture, those sectors get more access in the United States as well.
Well, Parikshit, thank you very much for joining us this chilly morning from the United States. Of course, it's going into the late hours here, but thank you very much. We'll keep checking back with you all through the evening, because we're going to be live here on CNN News 18 viewers, bringing you live coverage moment to moment to the live shots. And we're being told that Mike Waltz, the NSA, the NSA, the National Security Advisor, will be now going into Blair House. You can see that canopy, that awning that has been set up in the porch. He's going to go in and he's going to hold talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Very, very important, viewers, because you know that there are individuals based out of America right now that have a massive problem with Narendra Modi guiding this nation. And they're doing everything to create disruptions in our country, to make his life difficult, to make the life of Indians difficult. So that conversation holds the key. Remember, in the Biden administration, viewers, which was extremely out of character, let me tell you, you had Khalistani separatist meeting, White House officials being entertained at the White House hours before Prime Minister Modi landed there in September, viewers, last year. It was so jarring. That's not going to happen under Trump. We're also being told that, in fact, there's going to be a joint statement that will strongly condemn terrorism, including Khalistani terrorism. So the deep state and all those who are supporting these malcontents and malignants, viewers, they're going to be out of business very soon. But let's just open this up, because the fact that Trump has accorded top priority to ties with India by meeting Prime Minister Modi within the first month, exposes attempts to portray Prime Minister Modi as a supplicant in Trump's court. And this is very important. And before I bring in some of my guests, I also want to bring in former US Indian envoy to the United States, Mr. Sandhu, who joins me for a quick conversation on some of these important questions. So, Sanju Verma and General Bakshi, I'll come out to you in just a few moments. Let me bring in Taranjeet Sandhu. Mr. Sandhu, thank you for speaking to me. President Trump's meeting with Prime Minister Modi just in the first month, as we've been talking, of the presidency. Can you explain the significance of this to our viewers? Because it's not very commonplace, is it?
So Rahul, yes, the timing is very significant. We have all been reading about Trump 2.0. I just want to mention here that in Trump 1.0, President Trump and Prime Minister Modi developed a very good relationship, and President Trump has often spoken about it. Prime Minister Modi has also, in his tweets, can be seen there. Now, what is the importance of this early meeting? As you very clearly pointed out, it's in the first 3-4 weeks. India is one of the important countries. I think that's the signal that comes. And secondly, as I have mentioned, that both Prime Minister and President have a good relationship, which also means that they have been having candid conversations with each other. It's very important that early in the administration, there is an exchange of views, a frank exchange of views about international situation as well as bilateral ties.
What? Thank you, Mr. Sandhu. Stay with me, because what you were saying really nails this propaganda that has been sort of spewed, which is to suggest that Prime Minister Modi is rushing there because he's scared, this, that, the other. But anyhow, let me just ask you this, because Trump has only met Israel's Prime Minister, King Abdullah of Jordan, and Japanese Premier, and of course, Mr. Modi is a fourth leader. Now, can you spot a pattern here amongst the people that he has met already?
Look, I think, Rahul, I'll leave it to President Trump's team and you to see the pattern. But I can certainly tell you that, look, two of them are Quad leaders, and the other two, of course, are very important vis-a-vis the current issues. Israel's and Jordan's importance.
Yeah.
And I think Middle East is quite on his agenda.
It's quite on his agenda. Where does Trump see India's place in his MAGA-verse, so to speak?
If I take you along from 2014 onwards, there's always been challenges, and those have been converted into opportunities. So 2014, you recall, when Prime Minister Modi came for the first time. And then again, there was a change in 2020. Before that in 2017, when Trump 1 came, and 2020. And this is 2025.
Yeah.
So I think what is important is that certainly these are relations between two democracies, and there will be issues. And let me not minimize those. Challenges will come. But I'm confident that both sides, and Prime Minister Modi has dealt with these challenges in the past. They, of course, become different every time, but those will be converted into opportunities.
So very quickly, tell us, what could these opportunities be, Mr. Sandhu? Because many people here in India, of course, are so pessimistic about this engagement. They say it's only going to be a one-way.
So let me take out of Prime Minister's tweet himself. There are 5 clear areas which are going to be taken up as per what he has put out, and in each of these there is an element which is a challenge and an opportunity. So let me start with the trade. We are hearing so much about the trade, and we are hearing about tariffs, etc., etc. India, US are important trade partners. When they talk of tariffs, what exactly he means is a kind of imbalance, meaning that the surplus is in favor of India, about $45 billion. Now, compared to some of the other countries, it's not that much. But yes, it is. So what happens? So obviously, President Trump has been talking about high tariffs on some of the areas. Agriculture is one, automobiles, etc., etc. There are areas in that. But we also have issues of access to US market. So that's where the opportunity lies. And that's where the deal will come. It will not come tomorrow itself. And when people are talking about that tariffs will be put, look, it's a much bigger issue than just India. There are a number of countries who are going to be impacted, including some of the allies. So I am confident that the deal will come, but it provides an opportunity for the deal. So the challenge and opportunity. And here, if I may also add, look, there is defense. You have seen, he has mentioned about it. Our defense relationship, US has become a major pillar of our defense relationship. In fact, in 2020, when Chinese came uninvited to our border, it must be brought here that, it was President Trump who was the president at that time and came out in solid support of India.
That's right.
And so there is an issue. We require top of the line equipment. And here I repeat, top of the line. And obviously at favorable terms. And that's where the negotiation will come. And some of the other aspects, tech transfer, co-production, operational logistics, which are going on. So we had the first defense, what is called, we have a 10-year framework. First one was in 2005. The second one was in 2015. And the third one is going to come about in 2025. So that will be part of the discussions. Similarly, energy.
Okay,
energy
well,
is a very
let me open this out. Very important points being made by Mr. Sandhu. I'll come back to you, Mr. Sandhu, in just a few moments, perhaps in about 5 or 7 minutes. Let's just open this up because there's breaking news coming in. US NSA, Mike Waltz, viewers, meeting with the Prime Minister at Blair House. Remember this time, and things have changed so much because this time the NSA, Mr. Doval is accompanying the Prime Minister. In September last year, he couldn't because the Biden regime and the deep state and all sorts of other skullduggerous characters there had decided in conjunction with the courts, viewers. And of course, some of those now have been plugged, those problems, by Trump himself. They had sort of put a lookout notice for Mr. Doval, creating a very, very unfortunate situation. But nonetheless, let's open this up. Alex Zan, a Republican strategist with us, and of course, the evergreen Major General G.D. Bakshi with us, the defense expert. So I want to first bring in Major General Bakshi. General Bakshi, simply this. Mike Waltz meeting with the Prime Minister, what's on the table, according to you? What's happening there? We are being told by our sources that there's going to be in the joint statement a repudiation of terror, including Khalistani terror, which will make a lot of people here extremely, extremely sheepish because they've been saying that, no, Modi is going there as some sort of a supplicant. Those are the pictures. General Bakshi, see your screen. Those are the pictures. There's Mike Waltz with his delegates and, of course, Prime Minister on one side. There's also this is an important meeting, very important meeting. And this meeting will set the tone, viewers. There's a lot here to unpack. So, General Bakshi, why don't you walk us through this important conversation?
Rahul, let me at the outset make an emphatic statement. The anchor premise of a strong strategic congruence between India and the United States was always premised upon a common perceived threat from a rising and hostile China. In Joe Biden's democratic dispensation, all the previous presidents had pivoted to Asia. Joe Biden pivoted back to Europe. He started a proxy war with Russia. And then he went and said, those who are not with us are against us. And we were at the receiving end of Joe Biden's wrath. Our relations had actually touched a nadir. They had staged the coup in Bangladesh. They were helping the ISI do the skullduggery in Kashmir and Punjab. They had stabbed us in the back with the LCA engine deal, took $1 billion and said for 2 years we got nothing. You see, we had hit a nadir. In fact, there was a great cheer in India when Donald Trump won the elections, because anything, his coming means that things would only improve. We had touched a nadir earlier in the democratic dispensation. Donald Trump is pivoting back to Asia. He's not interested in the Russia-Ukraine war, right? And the major reasons for dissonance at the geostrategic level have been removed, right? Donald Trump, if you see the selection of his key appointments, Marco Rubio, he is the gentleman who as a senator had introduced the bill to make India a non-NATO ally on par with Japan. Give us the best of equipment. There is Mike Waltz, anti-China, pro-India. There is Tulsi Gabbard. There is Kash Patel. The whole cabinet has a very, very pro-India look, and relations can only improve, right? And especially as far as terrorism is concerned, you just mentioned how they had, taken out a lookout notice against our national security advisor.
Absolutely.
He couldn't go to the United States.
And we can't just say that this was something that the courts did, you see, because the courts also take their cues. Because you saw the case against Adani's, viewers, wrapped up now. It's all gone. It's finished. So I think General Bakshi is making a lot of sense. This pivot to Europe by Biden brought both Russia and China into a very close association, which became a bit problematic for us, because we like to have an independent relationship with Russia, which is not dependent so much on China. We want Russia to also hold its own against China. But there, viewers, it got complicated. Alex Dan, let me bring you in, because you are a Republican strategist and you're seeing the world through Trump's eyes today. And this is very important. Let's put this out there. The Biden regime was bad. I mean, we had an envoy here in India who talked about this great relationship and talked it up. But I mean, look at the optics. The optics were terrible. There was a point where Khalistani separatists were invited hours before the Prime Minister landed to the White House. I mean, what were they doing with these guys? I don't understand. So, Alex Dan, put this into perspective for us. Many people in India, of course, are still caught in that hangover of the Biden regime, saying, relationship, it's down the tube, etc. But I don't think Trump would have invited the Prime Minister within a month of him taking over the presidency if he didn't have much in common.
This is very significant. And I think what you'll see that sometimes in statecraft, symbols can be substantive. So obviously President Trump has that pre-existing relationship with Prime Minister Modi from Trump's first term in office. And it looks like it's just as warm as it was back then. But some of the symbols that we're seeing this morning, Rahul, they are significant. Blair House, across the street from the White House, is not just where significant world leaders stay. It is where the incoming president of the United States stays the night before election night by tradition. Blair House is essentially a second White House. The statecraft that's being practiced right here, right now, today, meetings with Mike Waltz, meetings with Marco Rubio, I have to say, it reminds me more of a visit from a prime minister of the United Kingdom. That kind of visit is one where the red carpet is fully rolled out and everyone gets their meetings. Why? Because the relationship between the United States and the United Kingdom is among the oldest. It's called the special relationship. Today, Donald Trump is devising a new special relationship with India. And to answer your question from before, what is the pattern in the meetings of these world leaders that President Trump has decided to make in his first 30 days in office? It's two things. First, it's ending the war in the Middle East, or keeping that war from starting again. The second part is confronting China. General Bakshi is completely correct. That is a priority of the United States, and India and the United States can be partners in keeping China confronted.
So, Dr. Raman, let me bring in all those amplifying the points of divergence, like the Congress party and the India bloc, etc., between India and the US under Trump, are doing so because they're furthering the objective of a malign toolkit distributed by anti-India ecosystem. Is it fair to make this comment tonight?
think first of all, we'll have to wait for the results of this visit. Now, while the optics look good, eventually the proof of the pudding is in the eating. Are there going to be tariffs announced over the next 1 week? There were expectations. In fact, President Trump himself had confirmed that there were going to be tariffs announced later this week, and whether India would be included. You must remember in 2018, President Trump, in his first term, did impose tariffs on India. He imposed tariffs on steel, he imposed tariffs on aluminium, and India retaliated by imposing tariffs on imports from the US. I think there were about 20 or 25 items on which India imposed tariffs. So we have to wait and see. Second, of course, is the manner in which the illegal immigrants from India were deported. We hope that the Prime Minister would at least, manage to sort of get the chains off when the deportees are sent back to India. Obviously, they have to be taken back. There's nothing to debate on that, but at least that could be in a more humane way, because that did raise a bit of a storm back home. So there are multiple issues. Yes, the threat of China is a common glue, but having said that, Trump has had this knack of antagonizing a number of his allies, and the whole of Europe now is in a fair state of shock at what he's attempting to do in Ukraine, with some of the statements that Secretary of State Rubio has made over the last couple of days.
I don't know who is antagonizing, because Dr. Raman, you just heard Mr. Alex Dan. He's actually bringing people together to end a war, and I think most of Europe will be very relieved that the war in the Highlands.
You don't end a war by giving the aggressor the.
How do you know? How do you know what is going to happen? No, don't jump the gun. You say the proof of the pudding is in its eating when it comes to the agreement between India and the United States. But here you're jumping to a conclusion.
The Secretary of the United
States. 1 second. Calm down.
Openly said.
Listen.
That is their position.
Listen. The Ukraine and Europe will not accept it. So let's not jump the gun and pick up one or two stray statements, made in a moment to read too many things. One second, Dr. Raman. You see, what I have a problem with, viewers, is this, and I want to bring in Sanju Verma. What I have a problem with, viewers, is this constant focus on the most irrelevant aspects. Now, the US law existed from 2012. Where specifically deportees, if they were being sent to any country in a military vehicle or in an American chartered plane, would be restrained. Why would they be restrained, viewers? Because what if some of them got up in the middle of a flight and started assaulting somebody or the other, the crew or others, to divert the plane? These are desperados. So the Americans have laws. Who is India now to interfere in American laws and say, no, don't do it this way, don't do it that way? Just like America won't interfere in our laws. For example, when we got rid of Article 370, did America come here and say, no, change the law? There were some people from the deep state who tried to use their influence. But I didn't hear the President of the United States, even Biden, come out and say, no, change the law. Let's go back to status quo ante. That would be absolutely impractical, and the Congress party is using this as an excuse to try and suggest that Trump and Modi don't get along, that Modi is nobody in the world, that he can't have an impact on US policy. Modi is not a legislator who sits in the US House of Congress, viewers. Neither is he a senator. He's a Prime Minister of India, a completely independent sovereign republic, and the United States and Trump answer to their own laws. Not to Modi.
Rahul, one correction.
No, 1 second. Just 1 second. Let me just bring in.
Biden did make a
1
point.
second.
On Kashmir, he is actually on record saying that he wanted the rights of the Kashmiris to be restored.
No. I'm sorry. He said that it should be done in a manner. No, 1 second. He should be done in a manner. No, show me the statement anyhow. Yes. I'll have a look. I also have my facts. Yes. 1 second. Sanju Verma, please respond. Yes.
Rahul, I have not interjected, Mr. Raman. I don't wish to be heckled when I'm making my point. First and foremost, let's get one thing very, very clear. If you recall, during Trump 1.0, just minutes before Prime Minister Modi and Trump's meeting, Mohammad Yusuf Shah, aka Sayyid Salahuddin of Hizbul Mujahideen, was designated as a global designated terrorist. So the first point I wish to make is that, the war against radical Islam, the war against terrorism is going to get even more pertinent in the years ahead against the context of geopolitical mayhem in the Middle East, the Russia-Ukraine conflict, so on and so forth. But I don't wish to just dwell on the politics of it. Let me dwell on the economics of it. US is India's largest trading partner bilaterally with an annual trade of anywhere between 125 to 132 billion dollars.
Yes.
US is also the third largest investor into India in terms of FDI and FII flows. So that makes US very important for us. But what I wish to focus on are three key developments that have taken place just in the last 2 or 3 weeks after Trump's swearing in.
Okay.
Which no one is talking of. Brent crude prices, oil prices have plunged from $82 a barrel to barely $74.50 a barrel. And don't forget that, this $7.50 a barrel is very, very crucial for India, because every $7 barrel fall in the price of crude helps ease India's inflation by 40 to 50 basis points, helps ease India's trade deficit by 80 to 100 basis points, and helps ease India's current account deficit by 65 to 70 basis points. Point number one. So the fall in Brent crude prices is very relevant, because today it's not Saudi Arabia, which is the largest producer of crude. It is not Russia, which is the largest producer of crude. At 13 million barrels of crude a day, it is the United States of America, which is the largest producer of crude oil. And that makes it even more important for India as a partner, given that we import more than 83% of our crude requirements. That is another important point. And finally, I want to say this.
Yes.
This is for those who understand a bit of economics, but even to the layman. Just understand two things. Rahul, give me 30 seconds.
Yes.
There is something called a dollar index. Prior to Trump taking charge, the dollar index went up to beyond 110. Today, the dollar index is at about 107.5. The lower the dollar index, the better it is for India in terms of attracting foreign flows. So there again, we are benefiting, and US 10-year bond yields have also come down from 4.9% to 4.6%. The lower the US 10-year bond yield, the better it is for India in terms of attracting foreign flows. So the kind of foreign outflows that you've seen, that will also be reversed, because US 10-year bond yield is falling, Brent crude prices are falling, and the dollar index is also falling.
Okay, don't get sucked in, viewers, by the negativity. I just want to put out the facts. Here is the fact check on Dr. Raman. Democratic presidential nominee and former US Vice President Joe Biden wants India to take necessary steps to restore the rights of Kashmiris.
No.
One second. And has expressed, stop interrupting me. And has expressed disappointment over CA and the implementation of NRC in Assam. This is when he was contesting the election, viewers, according to a policy paper. Now wait, viewers, this is the kicker. Joe Biden's agenda for Muslim American community. This is the policy paper posted recently on his campaign website. These measures says that these measures are inconsistent with the country's long tradition of secularism, with sustaining a multi-ethnic and multi-religious democracy. And the Biden campaign did not respond to this question. So they posted something, and viewers, that the Biden campaign was half run by ultra-leftists. We all know this. So let's not spread fake news. Let's move on, viewers. Okay, Dr. Raman, I understand. I understand the frustration that certain people have. It's okay. It's okay. Okay, I'm faking news. Fine, I accept it, sir. I rest my case. It's okay. It's fine. Now, viewers, let's just move on, because this is important. Right before this